something along the lines of 24-10.
Yeah, that whole controlling your destiny thing, man. When you don't win the ones that you should, then you find yourself in this situation where Alex Smith goes down and the Chargers all of a sudden have a chance. I mean, Chase Daniel is not Alex Smith, no matter what you may think of Alex Smith, because, yeah, the Ravens need to win, and they need San Diego to lose this game. If San Diego wins, they're in no matter what happens with the Ravens. So, interesting to see. I thought that was a 4:25 game, but when you just mentioned that, I looked up the time, and nope, they're both 1 o'clock games. So
yeah,
there'll be some scoreboard watching there. That's a tough situation always to be in when when you're scoreboard watching during the game, because that can take that focus off. I'm with you, man. I think the Browns play tough, but I mean, I just don't know what they've got. I mean, really, what do you got? At the end of the day, most experts, websites, ESPN, wherever you want to name, they had the Browns between 1 and 3 wins for the entire season. The best members of our panel, and I believe I had the highest estimate for the Browns, and I had them at between 6 and 8 wins. Well, hell, they're exactly between 6 and 8 wins, so couldn't have picked that one any better if I tried, but except just saying 7. But I thought between 6 and 8 sounded better than just saying 7. But anyways, so at the end of the day, to me, it's still a plus coming out of the season, but you want to end it with it. Whether you win or lose, you want to end it with a good football game. You know what I mean? You want to end it with a good performance, with a good effort, and I think the Browns, I think they will do that, but I don't think it's going to be enough to win this game.
Yes, unfortunately, true. I think that the Browns are going to put in a strong effort. They're going to, they're not going to go out with their tail between their legs. I think they're going to make it tough on them, but I think that ultimately the Ravens are going to just have too much. Unfortunately, it'll probably be too much of the running game for the Browns to stop.
Yeah, and then, next week, we'll have playoffs to look up to for the other team, but I'll tell you, it'd be interesting to see how the Browns begin their postseason once it ends. Remember, things moved pretty quickly last year. There was a lot of tumult, and then we know how everything ended up. It'd be interesting to see. Just talking about the quotes from Carlos Dansby that you and I were talking about at the beginning of this segment, he had some other interesting things to say when talking about the stuff that we've talked about as far as this team coming into next year, this coaching staff and all of that. He said, this was from Carlos Dansby. He said, Browns made big strides. People didn't have us winning 7 games. Y'all had us winning 1 game, if that, this year. We surprised everybody. We're a team on a mission. We had a purpose, and if I was the general manager, I'll get it next year. Now, of course, that's what a player would say, but he has a point that when you have progress, when you have a little momentum going your way, the absolute most dysfunctional thing that you can do is to go messing and monkeying around and making all kinds of changes. Now, you don't come back with a pat hand. Now, that's a player talking there saying bring the whole team back. But you do come back with 75% of this roster intact. You tweak, you add, you build depth, and you find a couple of impact players. But I for the most part, he's right. And as the Browns, if they figure that out, they may not. Hey, look, man, they may clear the decks. I don't anticipate it, but I didn't anticipate them firing Chud last year either, because who does that? But the Browns do. So I won't say for sure what the Browns are going to do, but I do think that has got to be the number one focus, is stability. The coaching staff, I do think if anybody bites the bullet on the coaching staff, I'll make a prediction now. It's going to be the quarterback coach. I can see Dowell Logans losing his job for, among other things, his participation in the debacle in the media that led to Johnny Manziel's. And I don't just mean the text message. I mean telling the story on the radio and creating this narrative that Johnny Manziel texted him and he sent it to Jimmy Haslam and they went and drafted him. That story shouldn't have been told. And Mike Pettin made an interesting comment about that this season, where he said that's a story that we would prefer not have been told out of school, and he's been talked to about that. If anybody does need to bite the bullet, I could see him being one of the changes on the coaching staff.
That's right. I could possibly see the special teams coach get the axe too, because that has not been a strength of the team all year.
Yeah,
Chris Tabor.
That was a whole nother discussion. If Chris Tabor maintains his job, I will be very surprised. And I'm not necessarily saying he's got to go, because somebody above him made the decision that we're not running back kicks this year. I don't think Chris Tabor made that blanket decision and said we're not running back kicks. So is he following orders or is he completely incompetent? I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I don't know what the answer to that question is. The Browns do. If he's following orders, okay, fine, because there are things that he does good. There's weeks that his special team shows up good, and I go, man, Chris Tabor can coach. But if it's a team decision, okay, then you're telling him, hey, don't worry about returning kicks, that we're not going to hold you responsible. Now, if he's out here doing that, then, hey, he may have to bite the bullet for this as well. You're right. That's the other one that I could see. But I don't see any changes with the coaching staff as a whole unless, I don't know who, but these rumors that Kyle Shanahan may be in some head coach discussions, I just think that he'll get some interviews because that's what offensive coordinators do throughout the offseason. But I don't see that. Who's hiring Kyle Shanahan? It's just serious. Who's in line? I don't see any team, but whatever. So I think the coaching staff comes back intact. I think the quarterback situation is going to come back intact as long as Brian Hoyer chooses it that way. I don't believe that the Browns are going to choose to part ways with him, but he may very well choose to part ways with them. But I definitely do anticipate the majority of this team and front office and coaching staff coming back next year.
That's right. Hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about, but next year in the offseason, hopefully a lot of positive building up instead of churning everything over and over like we've done in the past several years.
Absolutely. Identify your strengths, identify your weaknesses, get out there and address them. You know what I mean? It seems simple. It seems simple to the guys that talk about it, but when the guys do it, it's not as simple. I don't know, Jeff. We got a lot to talk about this offseason. Next week, you and I will talk some Tribe on Tuesday. We'll look at some playoff matchups, wild card weekend, my favorite weekend in sports coming up here. So you and I will have no shortage of things to talk about next week.
All right. Looking forward to it. You have a good weekend, too. We'll see ya.
You too. My man, Jeff Gorman from IndiansandBrowns101.com, looking ahead to the Ravens this week. And, I'm sorry. If you were looking for a chipper prediction for this weekend, I don't have it, and neither does Jeff. That being said, I don't expect a debacle either. I think the Browns show up and play. Hell, the Browns showed up and played last week, and they couldn't make it happen. And Baltimore's a much better team than the Carolina Panthers. They're going to be fired up. I actually think Jeff was wrong. I think he was backwards. I think if the Chargers get jumped on, or if they jump out early in that game, I think that motivates Baltimore to try harder because they'll just be ticked off that their season just ended as well. We'll see. It's an interesting dynamic to the game. Obviously, Connor Shaw brings a completely different dynamic to things depending on him coming out there or not. And end of the day, I expect him to show up and try hard. I think Baltimore makes a play or two late too much, and I think in the second half they run over the Browns. It's the last game of a long season, man. Browns held strong, but they're going to fall short. I think they finished this season at 7-9. I sure as hell hope they surprise me. We'll talk about it on Monday. Dan Wismar will be here. John McMullen from the Sports Network as well. We're going to take a break. When we come back, let's switch gears a little bit. Cavaliers, tough week for them as well. Starts off losing Anderson Varajeao. First game without him. You really saw. I'll tell you what, all of you Varajeao haters out there that say he's worthless and, the Cavs need to get rid of Varajeao. I'm just saying, well, they're a lot worse without him. He's not James. He's not Love. He's not Kyrie. Nobody trades 3 first-round draft picks to get Anderson Varajeao, but your entire season may fall apart when you lose him. We'll talk about that. They needed a big guy anyway. Now you need 2. Let's talk about that. And defense. It can't be defended because they didn't play defense in the LeBron James Memorial Classic yesterday. Let's talk a little Cavaliers who set the stage for a football weekend. Fantasy football championships for us coming up this weekend. Somebody's winning this belt. Is it going to be Vashon? Is it going to be Mike? They're up for the championship belt. Mike Brandenberry and I going for the ring. We'll talk about all of that and more. Set the stage for the weekend. Let's talk some Cavs hoops coming up next here on the Sports Fix.
You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly, deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around Christmas tree, have a happy holiday.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good,
It
though.
could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was
Get
terrible.
him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!
The Sports Fix.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Elo hit a three-pointer on the side.
In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix at AOL.com. That's thesportsfix at AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
I'm John Ryder. LeBron James returned to Miami, scored 30 points, dished out 8 assists, but the Heat were able to knock off the Cavaliers 101-91 on Christmas Day. Dwayne Wade scored a game-high 31 in the win. LeBron going up against Wade again.
Brought back old times, and, the battles that we had. Once again, we put up 30 again against each other, man, and, it's always fun competing against, such a great friend.
Next time the Heat and Cavs play will be on February 11th in Cleveland on ESPN. Chris Bosh was out again with a strained calf, but says he's getting closer to a return. Elsewhere on Christmas Day, Clippers handed Golden State just their 5th loss of the season, 100-86 in L.A. Chris Paul, 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. With Kobe Bryant out, the Bulls pounded the Lakers 113-93. Pau Gasol scored 23 points and grabbed 13 rebounds against his former team. Aaron Scott telling his players that Kobe could miss as much as a week. Kevin Durant missed his 4th straight game with a sprained ankle, but Russell Westbrook scored 34 in Oklahoma City's 114-106 win at San Antonio.
Subway is saying thank you until the ball drops with customer appreciation. Hurry in often to celebrate with 2 delicious $2 subs, the 6-inch meatball marinara and the 6-inch cold cut combo. Both built fresh from the bread up. Subway, eat fresh.
You're listening to The Sports Fix.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad...
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Final segment here. I'm going to sit here for a minute. I'm not rushing out, but the final segment of the show coming your way here. I feel like the Grinch. Not my fault. Cleveland sports' fault, man. They did not give us a good batch of news to talk about here on Christmas week, man. I should have just went best of all week and just ignored that this week ever happened. But, I mean, you can't because it just would have happened next week. I mean, it's Cleveland. You know how it is. As I cleared myself there to cough again. Welcome back. J-Rock with you guys here. 216-539-7535, the number to call, 216-539-7535. I'll tell you, finding my lungs tightening up as we go here. I've been talking nonstop for 90 minutes. I'll do that to you. Hit us up, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixcle. Email us, thesportsfix@aol.com. As I said, a tough week here. By the way, something that Jeff and I didn't even get into. We've got plenty of time, but this could be the last game for quite a few Browns here coming up here. They're going to have some decisions to make. Brian Hoyer's been mentioned ad nauseum. He's an unrestricted free agent, but he is far from the only